Hi everyone, thanks for joining today's webinar on Getting Social with Tableau. My name is Marina. I am a product consultant at Tableau Software and part of the Global System Integrator team. This webinar is aimed to provide tips to enable our partner to help their customers on specific subjects. Today I'm going to talk about how you can use your social media data with Tableau. Information in this presentation is proprietary and confidential. It is not to be shared outside of the Tableau partner community. If you have any specific requests about this material or any questions, please send out requests to partnersupport@tableau.com. Okay, so first I'm going to quickly explain the different concepts around social media. Then we will talk about why social media data is important, where you can get the data from, and how Tableau can help you in this analysis. Lastly, we will do a little demo to see how you can analyze some key Facebook metrics in Tableau. To start by a definition, what is social media? Social media is the interaction among people in which they create, share, or exchange information and ideas in virtual communities and networks. But actually, social media is just a buzzword until you come up with a plan. There's so many metrics to analyze of social data that it is important to define the performance goals that you are trying to meet from the very start. Trying to define your goals will help you to focus and to know which questions are the most relevant for you to ask for your analysis. There are plenty of social media platforms out there, but I wanted to show you the most popular ones. We can see here that in terms of monthly active users, Facebook is far ahead with 1.5 billion, followed by Google+, Instagram, and LinkedIn. While social media has been dominated fairly constantly by Facebook since the late 2000s, we see new platforms emerging each year. There are two main types of strategy in social media. They are organic and paid. Social media started as an organic marketing tool with an emphasis on creating engaging and interesting content that people actually liked. Building social followers, subscribers, and an online community through the sole use of high-quality posts is essentially what we call organic social marketing. On the other side, paid social advertising is commonly referred as sponsored content. In this video, we are mainly focused on organic media analysis, but I wanted to explain the distinction between those two. Let's see a quick example of this distinction with Google. While Google returns a search result, it gives you two types of results, organic and paid. The organic search results are the web page listings that closely match the user's search query based on relevance. Ranking high in the organic result is what search engine optimization is all about. On the other hand, paid results are basically advertisement. The website owners are paid to have their web page display for certain keywords, so these listings show up when someone runs a search query containing those keywords. We can see the same type of difference on Facebook. Posts created as an ad and paid to be shown in a news feed or an ad space based on a specific audience set by the brand is called sponsored advertisement, whereas posts shared directly from a brand page that shows up in fan or friends news based on Facebook algorithm is called organic media. In the current marketing environment, a successful digital campaign is made of a combination of organic and paid advertising. But then, why do you want to analyze social media? No matter where you live in the world, chances are that you are either using social media or that you have been impacted by it. I think the answer can be represented by this quote from Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. The reason why you should care about social media is because if you make customers unhappy in the physical world, they might each tell 6 friends. But if you make customers unhappy on the internet, they can each tell 6,000 friends. When 1 in 7 people on the entire planet log onto Facebook on one day, the sheer enormity of social media began to be put into perspective. The amplitude of the customer voice is considerable on the internet and cannot be ignored. Social media changed the way people get an opinion about the brand. And so now, social media is important because the consumer is now the influencer. Nowadays, content created by a fellow consumer is more influential than the one created by a brand. The average consumer interacts with 11 pieces of content before purchasing a product. The rise of social media apps such as Periscope, Instagram, and Snapchat heavily influence public sentiment. But social media also became a marketplace. When users are browsing their preferred social channels, they now have the ability to purchase products instantaneously. Call to action buttons often appear in apps and make it more convenient than ever for users to complete the purchase. This equals higher revenue and engagement for brands, but also allows for more valuable demographic data. Finally, increased social ad spend. Paid social ads give better ways for brands to connect with their consumers. As a whole, social ads are set to drive $11 billion revenue by 2017, which is almost double from 5 years ago. So if you want to stay in the game with the competition, you should include those platforms in your online strategy. Great. So now we have seen how important social media is for your business. So how Tableau can help you in this? Well, the main strength of Tableau is the power of blending. Blending is one of the most useful features when you start to analyze social media data. The reason for that is that we can start analyzing one source of data from a platform like Facebook or Twitter and combine them. By doing that, you can start to see the difference between impressions or likes and engagement between multiple platforms, not only one. And this also extends beyond your social sites. As one data source cannot tell the whole story, with Tableau, you can start blending back-end data with CRM sources or your Google Analytics data to get a more complete picture of what's happening with your brand. So what marketing team does often is that they blend and combine social media data with other data sources together in Tableau in a template dashboard where they look at important things like the spends and clicks and mix it with back-end metrics like how many leads of customers came from the campaign. They combine those metrics to get a cost per lead or a cost by customer. Another good thing about Tableau is that it helps you to tailor your dashboard according to your audience. For example, you can create a high-level dashboard for your management, which shows exactly what they want. However, the one that the dashboard operational would use would be probably more granular and detailed. So, because they need to deep dive and see what post was the most followed, for example. So Tableau is a great tool to adapt your report according to your audience with the same data source. All of this is great, and you might want to know what kind of data you can import into Tableau. Well, there are many options available, but I will focus on the 4 main ways to get your social media data into Tableau. The first one is to export directly the data from the platform. For platforms such as Facebook or Twitter, for example, you will have access to free data and dashboards, and the data from these dashboards can be exported as a flat file, CSV or Excel in general, which can you can connect Tableau to. For Facebook, you just have to go on their Insight page and export different type of data, such as page level data or post level data. For Twitter, it's the same. Once you're connected to your account, you can export data via their Twitter analytics page. The second option is to get data from an integrated social media platform. Many of you might be working already with Simply Measured, Hootsuite, or Crowd Booster. Those data platform offers data export options that can be downloaded as flat files as well. Platforms like Hootsuite let you control your Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and more, all from one dashboard. The service is commonly used to manage online brands and to submit messages to the Twitter macro blogging service. The third option is to look at different types of data. If you want to work with a database instead of a flat file, then you should use data aggregators such as Gimit or DataSift. With those tools, you can stream live data directly into a database which you can then connect Tableau directly to. There are actually very few companies that provide social network data aggregation services. And by using this, you can also avoid to manage all the different APIs for each platform. Finally, the last way to get social media data into Tableau is to either code your own solution by writing a script that will use an API, or use Tableau with Data Connector. With the release of the 9.1 version and the introduction of Web Data Connectors, Tableau has reduced the barrier of entry for developers to create custom connections to new data sources. The Tableau Web Data Connector is essentially the Extract API embedded directly into Tableau Desktop with JavaScript used as a wrapper to send data to it. So I can connect social data directly, but do I need to learn JavaScript to do that? In order to use a Web Data Connector, you actually don't need programming experience whatsoever. All you need is to know the URL to access it and log in yourself. In Tableau, simply select the Web Data Connector from the data connection list. Enter and paste your URL into the appropriate window and follow instructions presented by the Web Data Connector. There are websites such as Blockstream which can give you an idea of what you can connect Tableau with and how we can retrieve the data. So let me show you how it works. Again, this is just to show you all the possibilities of Tableau. So I'm going to my web browser and open Blockstream. You just type blockstream.com. And then for this one, I have looked at all the different connections I can do between my data and Tableau. Let's look at social media data. Okay, so I click Facebook. Let's get my type Facebook locations. So the instructions are pretty clear. So the tool I choose is Tableau. I installed Blockstream already, and now the only thing that I need is to copy this URL. If you want a demo of the video, you can have a look at what they propose. But we're going to do it live right now. So now Tableau dashboard, and then connect to data with data connector. And here I'm going to enter the website, the URL that they just gave me before. Okay, so it takes a little bit of time, but very quick, fairly quick. Now I'm going to sign in with my Google account, but you can just sign in with any. I'm going to put here so that you cannot see my credentials, but here you just have to put your credentials. So once you have put your credential, this is what you get. Get your tag Facebook location. So I'm logged under my name. So this function will have access to my personal Facebook account. I'm going to run. Okay, they show me the raw results. I click import this data to Tableau, and because of this web data connector connection, it just retrieves all the data directly into Tableau. Great. Okay. So now I got some date, name, measure names. So let's see what the name and the dates represent. Okay, so the name seems to be the location and the represent the place I have been to. So I'm going to change this name from a string to a zerographic row, and it's going to be a country or region. And for the date, we see that it's date and time. So instead of string, I'm going to put date and time, and Tableau will detect it. Okay, cool. So we see that we have the longitude and the latitude. I'm going to create a map out of it and drag the name dimension to see where I have been in the last years. Cool. And let's put name into colors. Do some reshaping at the names. So you see that in a few seconds, I've just created an interactive Google map with all my tagged Facebook locations since 2011. So this example might not be relevant for marketing analysis, but what I wanted to show you here is that it is easy to connect many websites with Tableau via this web data connector, and you can get data instantaneously from there. If the data connector is created, you can possibly retrieve the data you need from Salesforce, Google Maps, LinkedIn, Amazon, and many more. For Facebook and Twitter, as I said before, the Tableau developer community built something more sophisticated, so you can get the link for those at the end of the presentation. Also, if you want to know more about Web Data Connector technical aspects, I would invite you to watch another video about this subject available on the partner website. So what metrics to analyze? Now that we have seen how to retrieve data, the next step is to define what social media metrics we need to use to tackle our goals. Just like the data source, there are tons of metrics available to analyze in the social media world. But these metrics can be grouped into a number of basic categories. Let's go over the 5 main ones. The first category of metrics is the basic benchmark. The number of followers and mentions help you to get a pulse on what your social media presence is. Then, any metric that answers the question of who, where, and when, such as impressions, reach, location, and demographics, are the kind of metrics that can help you to understand your audience. Thirdly, once you know who your audience is, you want to understand how your audience is engaging with you by counting the number of likes, shares, views, comments, follows, as well as positive and negative feedbacks. This is what we call engagement. Conversion metrics are the number of clicks and leads. They tell you the actual social impact of what you're posting. Lastly, for opportunities, we consider any metric that helps us to understand what is happening behind our brand. Tracking these metrics can help you to reach more people. These are things like hashtags when they're mentioned in the tweet. As you can see, there are a lot of metrics that you can analyze. But again, you don't have to analyze them all. What you should focus on depends on your goals. Let me illustrate this by showing you what we can focus on in our dashboard. The first one will be audience. This first piece looks at audience. We use Tableau to understand the impact of our posts depending on the time that they were posted. This view looks at feed post data on the x-axis, where we can see the hours of the day. On the y-axis, we see the number of likes if they were posted at that hour. Having a box and a whisker plot allows us to see not only which hour has the most impact, but also it gives us a sense of how reliable the data is. This type of graph is helpful for content planning, both deciding when we are going to post for optimal impact and also what hours we want to collect more data on. This next view will be about engagement and showing how audience is engaging with us. It also comes from Tableau. It's a simple view, but it is essential for us to understand how our audience is engaging. Notice that there is a drop-down menu at the top where you can select your engagement metric. We constantly look at bar charts on our most engaging content on Twitter or Facebook, and we often see consistent trends in the posts that we make it to the top week after week after week. Let's see an example of how we analyze opportunities in Tableau. This view looks a bit more complicated, but it's extremely valuable in spotting opportunities for content and posts on social media. On the top, there is a timeline that guides the viewer some interaction with its dashboard. The timeline shows us two key pieces of information at once. The gray area chart shows us the amount of traffic that has gotten on our website from a social media source. Not necessarily our own content, but just a social media source in general. And the colored bar on the top of the gray area chart shows that actually it was posted on a blog, on Facebook, or on Twitter on those days. And that is possible because of the blending capabilities of Tableau. Then below this timeline, we can see two important views that allow us to dig into what is actually happening. The left view shows us the content that what we have actually posted on our blog, Twitter, or Facebook. On the right, there is a tree map that shows the top content visited by social media sources. The viewer can use the timeline to guide his analysis, and then filtering by a date or range of a date they want to drill into, they can compare what they have actually posted with the content that people visited on the website. So looking at this view, we found the content that people were visiting even though they weren't posting about it. So now that we have seen how how to get the data, how to, and what different metrics we need to use. I'm going to walk you through the process of visualizing your and analyzing your Facebook data in much more detail than what is available in the standard workbook Facebook Insight interface. So this is what we have exported from the Facebook page, Tableau Facebook page. So if you select page level data extract, you will see this. So these are all the columns, and you will normally see much more sheets. But in this case, I selected only the key metrics, and we'll focus on this. Okay, so if I open Tableau workbook, I want to connect with this file. So social media, page level data, key metrics. So now we can turn the data interpreter on. So the reason why is that we see this new row, and I want Tableau to reorganize my data and reshape it properly. So I'm going to turn it on. You might be already familiar with data preview pane, but I want to call this out because it becomes exceptionally helpful when it comes to social media. One of the key challenges in social media data is that oftentimes data can be oddly formatted, and Tableau can help you to reshape it, not only with the data interpreter, but only with using calculated fields. So let's continue working in the data preview pane. Actually, I want to change data type for one of my fields and put it as a date and time. Why I'm doing this? Because later I'm going to blend this with another source that has a date field. To be able to blend it, I need it to be a same type of object. Okay. And I'm also going to use, I think I'm going to use only those metrics. So let's hide the other ones. Okay, great. Let's open the sheet. And so now I have my dates and my measures. Going to drag dates. I want a continuous date and a granularity by date. Then I want to see the lifetime total likes. Okay. Wow. So we see that there is we pass from 0 followers to 24,000 followers in January. So I'm going to make this analysis more relevant by choosing a specific date. Let's start in the middle of January. Okay, now we have the more normal trend, and so we see that our followers are growing between January and March. Let's bring more context to this and create a dual axis timeline to add more context without overwhelming the viewers. For that, I need to duplicate the like measure and add more context by doing a quick table calculation. Percent difference. And combined two. Okay, great. So now I have my number of unique followers. Let's call it number of followers. And here, yeah, Tableau take the field automatically. So for our okay, cool. And I also want to add a label on the minimum and the maximum to see where was the biggest change. So we see here that there was a big difference at the end of January and March. So how I'm going to dig into this? Well, I'm going to see the relationship between the likes and what I posted. So now that I have created this timeline to see the evolution of my followers in the last few months, I'm going to analyze each individual post. For this, I'm going to use the post level data export from Facebook. So if you go on the Facebook Insight page, you can also select page or post. So now we're going to use the other one. So I'm going to connect this time with the post level data. And turn on the data interpreter. Okay, let's call this sheet Facebook followers. And maybe it would be good to add a title later. So this one will be Facebook post level data. So here I see that in my post level sheet I have different type of dimensions of measures. I'm going to rename this posted date. It's called post date, but I want to call it only date. And verify that the type is date and time again, so that we can blend it together with the key metric sheet. And now we're going to see the post message. Here we see all the different post message in the last month. And I want to see the different engaged users, but a lot of measures. So I'm going to use the search pane, engaged user, easy. Okay. So now I can easily see that we had a lot of engaged user on Tableau Conference on Tour and all the other posts that were popular on the Facebook page. So this is a helpful bar chart because it shows my top posts in terms of engaged users that are generated. However, you can see that there are tons of other metrics that we can dig into. And it will be very helpful to bring those metrics into view as well. So in this situation, parameter will be very useful. Parameter is also one of the strengths in Tableau. They allow you to pack a lot more information into the view without overwhelming the user. So let's create a parameter that we will call KPI. This parameter will be a string of a list of values. So we want to choose between different metrics. Organic search, paid search. So I typed this, but you can of course tailor it and customize it the way you want. I made it short also on purpose for this demo. So what I need to do now is to tell Tableau how to use these inputs that are in the parameter because nothing happened right now. To do that, I have to use a calculated field. So I'm going to create a calculated field. Let's call this one choose engagement. And so it will be a case when type of calculation where I will use my parameter that appears in purple. And then I'm going to say when we select organic reach, then I want to see the organic impressions. Now the organic reach. Okay. When we select page reach, then I want to show the boost page reach. Okay. And finally, when we select organic, this is case sensitive, so should be careful about that. Post, let's say post organic impressions, and to finish, and okay, calculation is valid. Great. So now I can put this calculation into my pane. I'm going to remove this one. Use my engagement and my KPI. And here, now we can use the parameter that we have created before to show the different field. So you can use this parameter to show also different time fields. So not only measures, engagement, can be anything. So this was Facebook posts. And now we're going to create a dashboard that will call Facebook page engagement. Put the timeline and the post. So this timeline allows me to spot any unusual transaction, and here we see that there is an unusual transaction in March. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use this timeline as a filter. And what will happen is that when I click on this specific date where there was a big change, we'll see the Facebook post appear. Okay, so on this date, I don't know, there was a big change but no post. But if we look at another peak, we can also visualize that easily and see what post might be related with. You can also change the KPI here and have a look at what happened. So this dashboard made by our marketing department is also available on Tableau Public, and I'll put the link at the end of this PowerPoint. So you can use this, tailor it, and use it to connect to your own Facebook data. So this dashboard we have just been talking about is also available on Tableau Public. Tableau Public is a great place to find inspiration, and sometimes you can download the workbook and do reverse engineering and see how it was made. So you can download it here. On a social media page, you also have other example of how you can visualize your Twitter data, and we have beautiful other views with Facebook content performance. We can do those, but for the demo, I wanted to make it simple, and so you can download this as a Tableau workbook and connect it with your data. So this is for Facebook. There is also another Facebook dashboard which is available online on Tableau Junkie. So if you prefer this kind of layout, you can use the one from Alex Voss on Tableau Junkie and see how he created this dashboard. And now I want to show you how we do things for Twitter. So I'm going to first show you a beautiful one. So we're not going to make this one, but I just want to show you that it is possible to make beautiful dashboard with Twitter. You have an example on our official website, and you have this as well. So it's dynamic by post, size by retreat, who are the people, what channel you can see the most words. So this is all the different things you can do with Tableau to represent your social media data. Now I wanted to show you another cool web data connector from Tableau that you can use, which is a Twitter web data connector. I'm going to copy this, and we're going to connect it directly to Tableau. So if I click here on web data connector and enter the URL, just click OK. And here I can type any word that I want to analyze. For example, I want to analyze the sentiment around Tableau and get all the tweet that contains the word Tableau. So as you can see, it was really easy. I just typed the URL, connect to Web Data Connector, and type a word. I could have typed Tableau or earthquake, any other word. Great, so it did the connection. So thanks to this website, I have all the Tableau tweets, and I can see when they were created and what was the different tweets. So let's see what's inside. I can see, okay, the date, maybe by all the different days, and all the text that is related to it. So sometimes if there are a lot of posts, it can take time, but so here are all the different posts. And if you have an ETL tool such as Alteryx, you can modify this text and put all the words in one column and create cloud word of cloud out of it. And in this case, I'm not going to focus on the text. I just wanted to show you the connection, but just to tell you that you can do it. And here I'm just going to see the impact of the different posts and tweets. So if I look at the different days, I want to see, so from July 2015 to the end of March, I can see that there was a peak in the number of tweets in October. So this is the thing that I can quickly see thanks to this. And of course, I can analyze it deeper and look at the text behind it in another sheet, the same way we did it for Facebook. I also want to know, let's say I want to know when people like to post. Okay, so I just select hours, and now I can see very easily in this trend line that no one is tweeting during the evening, but then we have a peak at 4 o'clock. So everyone is tweeting in the afternoon. This was very easy to see, and it's pretty fun to do. If I also want to know, so when people post the most, it was in March and in October, and more particularly in October 2015. So with Tableau, if you want to dive in your data, you can just do it easily. And then we can look at the text behind it. This is quickly what I wanted to show you on this web data connector. And now we are going to see how we can create this type of Twitter engagement dashboard. It's also something that has been created by our marketing department, and you can download it from Tableau Public. So how we can make this kind of dashboard? This one is very simple. Again, it's for the demo, but I'm still going to show you how easy it is. So let's open a new Tableau workbook. And so what are the most impactful postings? Let's see. So the time we have originally here has to be formatted with a quick table calculation. So I'm going to show you the date parse, and we use this formula to split the date the way we want. I'm going to use this one. The formula will also be shown at the end of the PowerPoint. So this converts our string into a date that we can use. So now I want to see it, do my analysis by hour and see when people are actually posting. And I want to show when we're posting. So this is the different hours of the day. And I want to show when we're posting. So here we can see that we're posting the most. Again, 4 o'clock. Probably because we're talking about Tableau again. And so with this parameter, we see that we can see when we are posting on this graph. And I also want to measure. So we're going to use another parameter. I want to compare what are the different impressions and engagement according to when we're posting. So I'm going to try this here. So if we want to measure, for example, the retweets compared to when we're posting, or the replies compared to where we're posting, we can do this type of analysis. For this one, I'm going to see by a dual axis that there is a correlation between the time when we are posting and when our post has been retweeted. So as you can see, we have been creating a graph and this analysis pretty quickly. I can also split it by month, if I want to see or do an analysis by the day of the month. This is the different things you can do in Tableau very easily. We could call it the most impactful post because this is what it shows. And I also want to see what are the top posts. So I can see the different text that have been tweeted according to the calculation I created before. And I want to show this parameter, so I can change this and now create a dashboard that will call Twitter engagement. Okay. And see the direct correlation between our top post and our most impactful post. And this is great because I can just change my measure here, and it will impact my both graphs at the same time. So yeah, this is the kind of analysis you can do in Tableau according to different measures that are very useful for your analysis. And so this is the end of our webinar. And these are the different links that you can relate to if you want to see the Facebook Web Data Connector again, or do a Twitter sentiment analysis, see the different ways to format dates, and have some example of our Tableau social media dashboard. This is the calculation we have been using in Facebook. So for our parameter, please feel free to stop the video to look at the different formulas. And this is the one we have used to create engagement metric widget to select different metrics. So they follow pretty much the same structure. It's a case when, and you put the different measures in. And so this is the end. Thank you very much. I hope you have learned something from this webinar, and we hope to see you soon.